Good morning. Welcome to Principles of Marketing. We are going to jump right into Chapter 1 this morning and start off by just defining the term marketing. What is marketing? What is it we're going to be talking about this term? So the American Marketing Association defines marketing as all of the steps in the process that take a product to the customer. So there you're talking about how you distribute the product, how you define what the product will be, how you promote the product, how you communicate to your customer, and finally how you price the product. I will say too that marketing is as much a philosophy as it is a process too. So we'll talk more about this, but the marketing concept puts the customer at the center of the marketing process. So it's really all about the customer. What's important to the customer, and you really have to know who your customer is in order to effectively market a product to that customer. So the group of customers that you are particularly interested in selling or marketing a product to, those people are considered your target market. All right, so once you figure out who you're selling your product to or who you are intending a particular product offering to be for, then you can get pretty strategic about how you bring that product to market. And we call the combination of product, price, promotion, and place, or your book will call it distribution. We call that the 4 Ps. So distribution, of course, does not fit in at all, but place does, so we'll use that instead. So anyway, the combination of those 4 variables can be extremely strategic, and we'll definitely talk more about that this term. Let's talk a little bit in particular about the things that will make you more successful in a marketing effort. What are the critical factors? Okay, so first of all, it truly is about relationships. The relationship you have with your customers, the relationship you have with your partners in the process, your suppliers, your retail stores, newspapers, political affiliations. Relationships are huge, and how you manage those relationships is very huge. You'll see in your textbook there's conversation about customer relationship management, and this has to do with collecting information on the people that are important to you, your customers, your vendors, your suppliers, your retail partners. And so you need to know what's important to those people. You need to know a lot about them. And so to the extent that you can collect that information and tap into it with your marketing strategy, you'll be more successful. Okay, so the second point I'd like to talk to has to do with the marketing environment. And so you are operating in a marketing playing field that is a moving target. And so some of the variables that will be happening have to do with your competition, technology, sociocultural implications of where you're marketing. Let's see, political environment, legal and regulatory factors that you have to deal with, and economic factors. How much money do people have to spend on your product? What's their wealth? What's their buying power? So we'll talk more about that. All of those things create a moving target for you. And so if to the extent that you're able to keep your finger on the pulse of all of those elements, you'll be more successful in marketing your product. The marketing concept has to do with really understanding who your customer is and what they want. So what do you need to do to create customer satisfaction? Really, that's the bottom line with the marketing concept. And finally, technology is huge when it comes to marketing. We all know that technology has changed so much in the last decade, not to mention the last 50, 100 years, and it's continuing to evolve. And so as a marketer, you need to be up to speed with with the technology that your customers are using. And if you fall behind, you're not going to be as successful. So just imagine if you did not, for example, have a website where you could promote your product online. That's almost an obvious expectation in the world today. You have to be up to speed with technology. So these 4 things are going to impact your success in the marketing arena. How well you maintain your relationships and tap into that information, how well you keep track of what's going on in the marketing environment, how good you do at providing customer satisfaction, keeping your customer in the middle of everything you do, and finally, how well you do at keeping up with technology. All right, so why do we even care? Why is marketing even important? Well, it is hugely important. I don't even know where to begin with this. Marketing creates a standard of living. Because we have marketing in our country, in the United States, for example, we can go to stores and find products that we like and need. If we didn't have marketing, those products wouldn't be available to us, and our standard of living would be very different. And extend that to a global level, marketing becomes hugely important in politics, in cross-cultural interactions around the world. It's just a huge element in the global economy. And why? Because it creates value for customers, because it gives customers a quality of life that they desire and products that they enjoy in their life. Speaking just a little bit more to value, that's a pretty subjective thing. And so what's valuable or important to one customer is not the same as what's valuable to another customer. And again, getting back to understanding who your customer is and all of the different elements in a particular marketing arena, what sociocultural elements, technology elements, economic buying power elements, all of those things factor into what's going to make something of value or mean that your product is of value or not of value to your target market. All right, so the bottom line here is that marketing brings a state of value and well-being to customers and to stakeholders. And so you'll see this in your textbook, but a stakeholder is not just a customer, but everybody that comes into contact with your company or that cares about what you're doing with your products. So customers certainly, but also employees, your people in your supply chain, so vendors, your retail stores. It could even be advocacy groups or people that care about how your product is impacting the environment. All of those different players are stakeholders, and so what you do as a company and how you market impacts their sense of well-being. And so it becomes very important to people. Just however you're going about your marketing will be important in the world. All right, so I'm going to button up this chapter with just a little laundry list here of concepts that I'd like for you to have. Most of these we've talked about. We've talked about a target market, marketing mix, value. We've talked about stakeholders and the marketing concept. I'll just mention a couple of these that we haven't spoken specifically to. So an exchange has to do with understanding what one party is willing to give up or sacrifice in order to obtain something in return. So that's an exchange. We think about paying a certain amount of money to buy a product, but exchange can also be your time. You could be giving up a certain amount of time to get something in return, or inconvenience could also be part of an exchange. So take a look at that in the chapter. And also the concept of customer relationship management has to do with creating systems that track and collect and leverage information about customers in strategic marketing processes. So we'll read more about that as well. And green marketing finally has to do with leveraging in your marketing campaigns the concept that you are being good to the environment. And this is huge anymore. Again, there are many stakeholders that care a lot about how the environment is being impacted. And so you'll see a lot of marketing professionals taking great strides or going to great lengths to make their product appear green and their company appear environmentally friendly. So those are just it's a pretty good representation of the key factors in Chapter 1. And do let me know if you have any questions. I'll be happy to speak with you in more depth about any of this material. Okay? All right. Thank you. Have a good day.